Hey everybody, it's first thing in the morning. I just got the lights turned on again, and there's my crayfish hanging out up in my floating water sprite again. So I can only guess it's up there munching away and eating it, which is fine. Now that I've decided to try to keep plants in this tank, I don't have any problem with just throwing additional water sprite in there. I've got it in so many tanks, it grows and propagates so prolifically that I've always got somewhere that I can pull out of a tank and throw in here. So my temple plant has pretty much established, it looks like. I don't think it's going to get devoured too much more than that, at least not enough that it's going to be able to survive. And then I'm still having some issues getting my Java fern to attach in various places, but it's kind of, some of the places that I have it a little more enthusiastically wedged down between the rocks, it's staying there. The places where I more delicately try to wedge it into the woodwork itself right there, that one surprisingly is staying, but a lot of the other ones don't. You can see this little piece right here is free floated, and I believe I've got some chunks floating up there in the corner that could probably get put back in. But all in all, I like the plants in here, and the animals in the tank certainly seem to like the plants in here too. So if this is going to be the case, I'm going to have crayfish in there climbing in the plants, and I'm going to have the tilapia in here munching on it, and I have no doubt the creek chubs chew on it and eat it. It's a good natural food source. I like the way it looks. When I first set this tank up, I set it up to be very much a realistic representation of my outdoors. That's why it's called my native tank. But over the years, it's kind of morphed. I've got several fish in there that aren't really native fish. Well, they're not native fish at all, in fact. And I've even got the crayfish in there. While they're native to me, in the sense that they're the crayfish I see everywhere all the time, they are actually invasive species in my state. So they're not really native species in this tank. So I've kind of drifted away from the native aspect of it, even though that's what we still call it. And now that I've decided to just sort of abandon that idea a little more freely and go with the plants in there, I don't have any issues with just continuing to add plants as they get munched up. Speaking of which, we got a piece of Java fern drifting along in the current right there. So I don't mind adding new plants as they get munched and devoured. This water sprite grows so rapidly, and this tank always has such high nutrient levels in it from the high stocking load that fast-growing plants in here are not ever going to be a problem for me. So that's really just about it. I was hoping we'd get a little more action with that crayfish climbing around. I was hoping maybe we'd get to see it drop down and fall, but I don't think we're going to. It's just kind of hanging out there. I'm not really sure what it's doing. It looks like it's grooming itself, so I don't know if it's just hiding in the leaves or if it was up there eating, but it's definitely just grooming itself now. It's cleaning its antennae and just kind of hanging out there. I did throw some floating cichlid pellets in the tank last night, and as you can probably imagine, plenty of them got sort of stuck in the plants here that didn't get eaten by the fish. So it's possible that the crayfish was up there eating some of those overnight too. Yep, maybe we will get to see him drop down out of the plants whether he wants to or not. So crayfish can definitely be problematic in your tank, especially if you want to have a planted tank. You can see they're pretty vicious when it comes to chewing up the plants, but it's totally worth it as far as I'm concerned. They're such fascinating little animals. They're so interesting to look at. I love having them in a tank. I can't imagine having a big old native tank set up without having some crayfish in there. Again, that, causes its problems. I do lose some smaller fish sometimes. The crayfish will fight amongst themselves. And as I was explaining, we get issues here with the, plants being destroyed. Let's see if we can see him crawling up near the surface now. Nah, there's going to be too much glare on the water, but he was crawling up near the surface. Crayfish readily and regularly come out of the water in the wild. I just turned that forward fixture off. Maybe the darkness will encourage him to come out a little more, but I don't think so. He's just kind of up there doing his thing. So they will actually come up out of the water, so it's not out of the question to think of him being like on the top side of those plants with, you know, his back and his body up out of the water. But I don't think that's going to happen in this video. So there you go. Make sure you're subscribed. That way you won't miss anything I'm got coming up or I put out. You never know what it's going to be with me. It's always hit or miss. It's always something good, though, I like to think at least. So thanks for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget it's my native tank. I'll see you real soon on the next one.